All right, good afternoon. This is the webinar for Google Ads 101. It's presented by RTO9 and BentoSMB. We are going to review everything related to Google Ads, formerly known as Google AdWords, and take a look at some of the specifics of that particular platform. So without further ado, let's jump into what we're going to take a look at today. My name is Sadlowski. I'm the CEO of BentoSMB. RTO9 has asked me to do these webinars. You may have been here in the last couple of weeks where we covered Facebook advertising in 2 other webinars. Today, we're going to look at Google Ads or Google AdWords. Very different platform, kind of a very different beast altogether, but we're going to kind of look at these main topics: keywords and the auction related to Google. We're going to talk about types of Google Ads. We're going to talk about Google Ads Tour. We're going to talk about campaigns, ad sets, and ads. We're going to talk about Keyword Finder and how to use that. And then I have 3 really helpful resources for anybody looking to do kind of a deeper dive on all of this. Before I jump into anything else, I do want to preface that Google Ads is quite a difficult thing to learn. It is quite a difficult platform to understand. I'm going to cover a lot of the basics today, but by no means are you going to walk away from this webinar being able to be 100% proficient in this platform. It takes a lot of effort to learn the platform and a lot of effort to know exactly how to use the platform. So I'm going to give you the basics and a lot of good resources that can help you move forward to becoming more kind of professional in this area. Before I do any of that, I do want to just note that this webinar is being recorded. So if you're wanting to come back and listen to anything else, or if you are just listening to this recording, it's been recorded for you. There's also a file upload on the right-hand side. There's a PDF of all the slides that I've gone through that you can download. At the end of the webinar, we'll do a Q&A. So if you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A on the right-hand side of the screen. And then I also have some polls as well during the webinar that I'll post for people to go in and actually add in their feedback. So without further ado, let's dive in. So Google AdWords, as many of you may already know it as, is now transitioned into Google Ads. Google Ads is the new kind of word for it. They bundled a bunch of things together, so now everything is called Google Ads. AdWords is still all over the internet. It's in all sorts of content. So searching for AdWords content versus Google Ads, you're probably going to end up getting more content and more results for Google AdWords than you would for Google Ads, but the internet will slowly catch up with that as well. So you can use them interchangeably at this point, but do know that Google Ads is the new name for what we're talking about today. So like I said a little bit earlier, Google Ads is very different than Facebook advertising. There's a lot of kind of fundamental differences. And I like to say that Google Ads and Facebook are like apples and oranges. They're both pieces of fruit and they both help with marketing, but they're not really the same internally. They're fundamentally different. One of the main differences is that Google Ads are active intent-based ads. These are people that are showing these ads due to something they specifically have decided to search for, something that they're looking at that is very specific, that is connected to that ad. Facebook and other advertising channels don't really do that. It's based on interests and based on demographics. Google definitely pulls interests and demographics into that, but a lot of the ads are based on what their intent is, if they're going to buy something or if they're looking specifically for that search keyword. So that's the other kind of main difference, is that Google Ads are primarily keyword based. So they're text ads in search, display banners, but they're typically focused around keywords. Keywords get attached to search queries, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what the difference between a keyword and a search query is. Google Ads also have remarketing, so that's a similarity between the two. They have the ability to have custom audiences just as Facebook does, and you can track people in a similar fashion with the G tag on your website. Google Ads are also structured in a very similar way: campaign, ad set, and ad ability. So you have a campaign with multiple ad sets under it, and each ad set has multiple sets of ads. Very similar to how other systems work, and you'll be fine. You wouldn't find another advertising platform that wouldn't function in that way generally. Google Ads are also typically more expensive than other advertising platforms, and the main reason behind that is that intent. If somebody's searching for buy red toaster, then there's an intent there for them to buy that toaster, and you have a better connection there. So Google's going to charge you more for that to connect you with that particular person. The auction also plays a big role in that and how expensive things get based on what all the other advertisers in that pool are specifically looking to pay. Google Ads is also a much more difficult platform to master. Facebook ads is kind of simple to get started. You can boost ads really quickly, and you can do a bunch of deep diving to get into more advanced stuff fairly quickly. We covered a lot of it in just 2 webinars, whereas Google Ads, for me to do a really good job of explaining it, would probably take 8 to 10 webinars, possibly more. So it is a much more complicated advertising platform, but it does work quite a bit better than Facebook when done right. So there's kind of that trade-off between the two. So next I want to talk about what those kind of fundamental differences are between Google Ads and other advertising platforms. The first one is keywords, and understanding what keywords are, the different types of keywords, and how they relate to what's considered the search term. So if you are a user and you go to Google and you type in, say, dog collar, that's the example that I'm going to use in this slide. You type in dog collar, that is your search term. Now you might put in any of the example matches on the right-hand side there: doggy necklace, dog quick release collar, dog release, quick release dog collar, or just dog collar. All of those are your search terms. Those are the terms that the human being has actually entered into the bar at the top. And those can be questions, they can be really long, they can be really short, whatever it is. From that, we need to match our keywords to those particular search terms, because we're never going to know exactly what somebody's going to type in potentially. There is a way to do an exact keyword match, but typically there's lots of long tail keywords or search terms that are going to be put in there that you're never going to know exactly what it is they're actually asking for. So this is why Google starts with keywords that then get matched to search phrases. So in this table, you'll see on the left-hand side, we have 4 different types of matching: broad match modifier, or BMM, phrase, and exact. And I've given some examples of how that kind of moves forward. So when you're actually inputting the keywords, and you'll see this later in the slides today, the symbols will change for each of those match types. You'll notice that broad doesn't have any symbols. It's just example keyword, and the example is dog collar. It then gets connected and matches on a range of different things. The words do not have to be the same. They can be related. They can include spelling errors. They can be related searches and other content that Google thinks matches up with that particular match. So you can see dog collar, and I put an example of doggy necklace. It's close. It's not exactly 100% exact, but it's something that likely relates. The next one is broad match modifier. And what we're doing is we're putting a plus symbol in front of the example and in front of the keyword. What this does is it searches, it connects with searches that contain all of those words with the plus in front of it, plus a little bit of loose matching, like the doggy necklace example. So for example, plus dog plus collar would match to something like dog quick release collar, because that search term has dog and it has collar in it. It's not in the same order, doesn't need to be in the same order or right beside each other, but they're both in there, so it's going to connect. The third one is phrase, and phrase is encapsulated with quotes. And what we're doing there is saying whatever's in the quotes needs to be in that search, but it can be anywhere in the search. So you can see the example is dog collar with quotes, and the example is quick release dog collar. Because dog collar is there in that as a phrase, it's perfectly fine, and it will match up. The last one's super simple. It's in square brackets, and basically that says exact match. It has to be exactly that, nothing else, nothing in the beginning, nothing at the end, exactly those characters. So dog collar and dog collar. It will not match things like spelling mistakes. It will not match anything that is other content or related searches. It has to be that exact. So a lot of advertisers use these in tandem with one another. You don't have to only have one keyword per set of ads that you create. You can use broad match modifier, phrase. All of those can be matched together depending on what works for you. There's also a third or a fifth kind of type of keyword, which is a negative keyword. And negative keywords can be used to say, I don't want to match on this. So in this example, the first one where it's the broad example, dog collar being matched to doggy necklace. If I'm advertising a dog collar or a quick release dog collar, I don't really want to advertise that to somebody that's looking for a doggy necklace. So you can go in and put in a negative keyword of necklace, and that would make it so that this no longer matches. Before I talk about the ads auction, actually, I'm going to go back to this slide as well. I'm going to release a poll here. So what I'm going to have you all do is go in and let me know what you think is the right answer to this. So this first poll is, I set up an ad to show up for the keyword fall fair, just fall fair. It's a broad keyword. Which of the following search queries will I potentially rank for? Select all of them that apply. So for the people that can't see this when they're in the recording, the four options are Autumn Festival, Fall Fair Rides, When is the Fall Fair this year? Question mark, and buy tickets for the Fall Fair this year. And we got a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of answers. What's really great about this one is all of them are correct. So because we're using a broad match, it connects with all of these things. Obviously, Fall Fair, B, which is Fall Fair Rides, and C, which is Fall Fair this year, have the exact keyword in it, right? It's going to match those 100%. Autumn Festival, Google's going to try to match that potentially. It's not 100% that we're going to match there, but Autumn Festival can be loosely brought into Fall Fair. Buy tickets for the fair this year. Again, this year may be the fall. It knows what time of year it is, and fair is in there as well, so it might match. B and C, you're probably going to get a strong match. A and D, you won't get as strong a match. I'm going to give you another poll as well. This time, I'm using the exact same options, but instead of using a broad match, I'm going to use a phrase match. So the phrase Fall Fair, same options, A, Autumn Festival, B, Fall Fair Rides, C, when is the Fall Fair this year, and D, buy tickets for the Fall Fair this year. And we have a bunch of answers coming in, and they're correct. So B and C, Fall Fair Rides, and C, when is the Fall Fair this year, are the two that you're going to match on. You're not going to match on Autumn Festival, and you're not going to match on buy tickets for the fair this year because it is a phrase-based match. Great. I'm going to close both of these polls, and we'll move on to the auction. So Google's handles all of the different ads and where they're placed based in an auction method. So I'm going to kind of run you through a loose example of what it kind of takes to get your ad into the ranking for a particular spot. Few kind of caveats here. I'm going to assume that there's only 3 ad spots, not 4. And I'm going to dial everything down into kind of 3 values: the bid dollar amount, the quality of that particular advertisement, and ad extensions, and if there's ad extensions on the actual ad. All of those are going to be created into this quality score. And every single ad has a quality score. So you can see there's 4 people along the lines there: Max, Emma, Josh, and Kelly. And you can see myself at the top. I put a bid value of $4. I'm willing to pay $4 to have somebody click on my ad and send them to my website. But part of that is the quality. The quality of that ad is really important, because as much as Google wants to get that $4 ad and place that at the top, if nobody's clicking on it, or if they're not producing the right information for somebody that's searching Google, they're not going to use Google. They're not going to, the main reason why we all use Google is because we can count on it to give us the results that we need right away. So because the quality is low on that one and ad extensions are low, my quality score is 8. I'm going to talk a little bit more about ad extensions and how it helps. You can see Emma down below has a $3 value. Her quality is high, so she probably has better ad content. She has a better landing page. It's more directly related to the particular search. She might have better keywords mapped out, might have more types of keywords. All those things go into that quality. However, she doesn't have ad extensions. She's not using ad extensions. So she gets a quality score of 15. Josh, on the other hand, is at $2 per bid. So he's willing to spend $2. And his ad is a high quality. Again, same thing, good website, strong keywords, a great ad content. Maybe he's got some dynamic stuff in there. And he also has ad extensions. And those ad extensions are raising his quality score up to a 22. Kelly at the bottom says, I only want to pay $1 for each click. Her quality is medium and her ad extensions are medium, so she gets a score of 12. So what this means is that basically Josh wins that auction when it goes to auction. And the reason why is because he has the highest quality score. It's way more complicated than this, but it does a really good job of just explaining how this would potentially work if you were able to see this. Keep in mind, Google does this in nanoseconds for every single search page that's returned. So this all gets done very, very quickly behind the scenes. So Josh is 1 at this point. Josh gets to have the first position and his rank is number 1 on that particular search engine result page. And he's only gonna pay $2 per click. Emma, on the other hand, will have to pay about $3 and Kelly will probably pay about $1. Kelly could potentially move up in the ranking if she increased her bid value. That might raise her quality score. It's not gonna raise her score high enough to probably outrank Josh. She might be able to jump up to Emma's level and outrank her. So that is one way of jumping up. The best way of jumping up and getting a higher quality score though is to increase the quality of your ad and to add ad extensions. So making sure you have a good website, making sure you have good ad content, making sure you have ad extensions. I'll go through a lot of the different examples as well. All of that contributes to that quality score and bumps your ad up, meaning you can pay less. So just because Emma's decided to pay $3 doesn't mean she gets to the top of the list. The highest bidder is not always the winner within Google Ads. Next, I'm going to talk about the 6 different Google ad types. Google ads show up in a lot of different places around the internet. And typically though, when people think of Google ads, they think of the ads that show up in a particular search query. So that's where they go to search for a dog collar and they see 3 ads at the top of their search results and then some organic stuff. Additionally, they might also see what's on number 4, which is shopping. So it's automatically advertising products from your online store. So if you were to search something, it would show up. A good example, I'll show it in a second, is a Google search result for like a blue down jacket. I'm going to share my screen here. So if I type in blue down jacket, you'll see that we have some ads here, some text-based ads, mainly 1 here for this particular coat. And then we also have all of these different shopping-based ads. And these are all sponsored, and these are all based on these particular brands dropping these in. And a lot of these are Eddie Bauer, but they might not actually be the Eddie Bauer company doing that. It may be somebody else advertising their particular jackets. So that is one way of showing them up. This is another here. So the 3 main types on the left-hand side are search network and display select, search network only, and display network only. There's 2 basic networks within Google Ads. One of them is search. One of them is putting in those text-based ads at the top and the right-hand side of search so people can click on them. Very effective, especially with the right keywords and long tail keywords. You can do a really good job of getting people to see your ads. Additionally, they have a display network, and the display network is those ads, those banner ads that you see on blog posts and other people's websites. That's the display network. You can combine both of those into that search network with display select, or you can separate them into their own individual search network only or display network only. Additionally, like I said, we have the shopping areas, we have video. So those are all those ads you see on YouTube. Those are all the video-based ads done through Google. And then the last one is the universal application. So these are the ads that you see when you're playing Candy Crush or another game on your phone. There's lots of ad networks for those applications as well. It's not just Google. And typically, you're not going to see a lot of the universal application ads from Google, particularly in North America. They're run by other agencies that have different systems built out. So with that said, I'm going to jump into really touring everybody through the Google Ads dashboard and really understanding these different pieces. And then we'll jump back and look at some of these resources. So here on my screen, I have the Google Ads for a fictitious company that we have called Berry Clothing. If you've done any webinars or meetings with me, you will have known about Berry Clothing. This particular ads, Google Ads display here is going to show us one campaign that we have running, or quote unquote running, and I'm going to walk through how we've set that up. We'll then look at the keyword planner and how we can use that to build another campaign. So on the left-hand side, you have all campaigns when you open up your dashboard. And you'll see campaign number 1 is here, and there's a sweaters campaign underneath it. I'm going to go to campaign number 1, and my right-hand panel has changed a little bit, but not really significantly. You'll see that there's some recommendations that I have and additional areas that I can take a look at. I'm going to focus on a few of them. First, I'm going to look at ad groups and ad extensions. Ad groups are basically just ad sets that are going to allow you to target specific keywords, specific demographics, specific audiences, all those different pieces. Very similar to how Facebook is set up, where the ad set, or in this sense, the ad group, is controlling where that ad is going, who it's being shown to, what it's going to be shown to in terms of keywords, and then the next piece will be the actual ads themselves. So the ad group here is sweaters, and you can see that I have one ad group. And when I click into that, it takes me into the keywords that I've associated with that particular ad group. So you can see I have a few different types here. I have sweater sale, where people are searching just for that particular phrase. I have sweater sale as an exact match. And then I also have sweater sale as a broad match. Typically having the same keywords here under the same types doesn't make sense, because this one here, this exact match of sweater sale, is going to be captured by the broad match of sweater sale. If it's broadly matched at sweater sale, it's also going to match through the phrase and through the exact match. Adding additional keywords though here is what's really going to be important. Sweater to buy, or I want to buy a sweater, or some other keyword related to purchasing of sweaters. Adding keywords is as quick as clicking on the big blue plus there, and you can go ahead and add as many keywords as you want. What's nice is Google AdWords is going to recommend some different keywords for you. So we can just add these in really quickly. And it's going to tell me how many monthly searches they think are going to be happening for that particular keyword as well. So I can add a lot of these in very quickly just by clicking on them. And then when I'm done, I click on save and they get dropped into my list. I've also set it so that I'm only paying 29 cents as a CPC. CPC stands for cost per click, and that's how Google determines how much you're willing to pay for that particular click. That's what gets fed into that auction, and you can update this. A lot of times this will differ for individual keywords as well. So you can go in and say, I want 29 cents for most of these, but the ones that's sweaters for women or sweaters for men, I can change that to an additional amount. A lot of times as you hover over these, you're going to get different helpful kind of icons as well. So it's telling me why my ad isn't showing. It's telling me how to run those ads. And as they start to run, it's going to tell me if my CPC is too low, if it's too high, or if it's in the right spot. You can also go through audiences and demographics. I'm not going to take a look at those today, but these are also areas that you can take a look at as you go through Google Ads. As I mentioned, there's also the ability to add negative keywords. So you can go in and add a negative keyword, and these can be whatever you'd like. Adding these negative keywords creates a new list, and that list can be attached to an ad group. It can be attached to a campaign. So it doesn't have to be this specific ad group. You can list it all through all of the different campaigns that you run under that particular campaign. So maybe we don't want to match this to sweeteners, for example. So we're running a lot of stuff on sweaters, but sweeteners is close, and Google may match it. So we can put in sweeteners as a negative keyword. We don't want to match that. And although the spelling is very similar, Google may match it up accidentally, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen. As you start to run your campaigns, negative keyword examples will come up here as well, based on where your keywords are being matched and where they're not being clicked. So that can help you make sure that your ads are not showing up somewhere that they don't need to be showing up. So let's take a look at the actual ads and dive into the ad extensions. So within this particular campaign, we're now inside this particular ad group, and then we're going to look at the ads and the extensions within this particular ad group. So you can see I have 2 ads right now, and you can see almost an example of what that is going to look like on Google. You can easily go in and edit them, and you can go in and edit a lot of different information here. Getting good at writing Google ads is an art. It really is. It's very difficult to get all of the things that you want into an ad in 30 characters per line. Typically, an ad is going to have a final URL, and you can put that as whatever you want. I put it as a very long example here just to showcase that it can be anything you want. The headline is the first line that's going to show up. And again, you have 30 characters. You cannot go over the 30 characters, but you want to use as many of those characters as possible. That gets dictated into your quality score of your ad. Headline 2, again, same thing. 30 characters, no more. Try to get to as close to the 30 characters as you possibly can. Headline 3 is relatively new. Essentially, it does show up sometimes. It doesn't show up in other times. It's not really clear when and when it doesn't show up. So it's always a good idea to include this. However, ensure that it's not critical information that may be lost in that ad if it doesn't get shown to people. Down below, you have the display path. So you can actually change what that's going to look like. So you can see in the ad here, berryclothing.com is showing up with /clothing/sweaters, but you can change what that looks like. This URL at the top, sweaters with all these characters, looks horrible. You don't want that showing up. So instead you can say clothing, sweaters, and that will show up instead. Description is up to 90 characters. And again, there's a description 2. Description 2 isn't always going to show up, so be careful there. Add URL options. I'll quickly just touch on these. This is for tracking individual pieces. You can link this up with your Google Analytics, as well as add different suffixes to your URL in case you want to pass stuff to your website. So if there's specific information you want passed into your website, or you want to track individual specific IDs, you can do that here. So I'm going to just say save on these, and I'm going to go back, and you can add another one if you'd like. I'm just going to cancel out of this. And we're going to go back and we're going to add some extensions. So along the top, we have ads, and then we have extensions. And extensions allow us to add in different pieces of information that show up with an ad. This can be related to site links, so individual links to other parts of the site. It can be a call out, so individual things related to what you're able to do for that particular person, as well as a call extension. This one's great on mobile. It works really, really well. We've used it with people we've done AdWords for. It allows you to just tap call and immediately go out to that, make that phone call. You'll see that all the time for local businesses, where you'll see a little call icon on your phone and you tap it and it starts to make that phone call right away. You can also add a lot of different other extension types as well. So site link, call out, and that call extension right here, but there's structured snippets, there's messages. Locations is really great if you have multiple business locations, so you can actually show the nearest location to that person on a mobile basis or on desktop. You can add pricing, you can add links to apps, as well as individual promotions. These are the pieces that are going to raise the quality score of your ad in a fairly easy and non-difficult way. All you have to do is really go in and select these, add them in. For example, site link, I can say I want to add a site link extension, and I can put in the text, the description, and the final URL of that particular area, and that's all I need to do. I can add that to, again, the ad group, the campaign, or I can add it to the entire account as well, so that it's always going on there. And what's nice is that if you add it to the entire account, it's going to add to all of your currently running campaigns and all of your currently running ad groups if it's specifically related to, say, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or the holiday season coming up, or Valentine's Day, or whatever it is you want to put in. You can link that and make sure that it's showing up for all of your ads in one go. The other example within the extensions was the ability to add the call extension. So here you can put in the country that you want to connect to and the phone number. You can also do what's called call reporting. And what that does is it actually passes the user through a Google phone number. So instead of when they click on it and it going to your phone number, it goes to a Google phone number that passes it through to your phone number. And what that does is allows you to report and determine how long those phone calls are and if it's considered a conversion or not. So you can actually track inside Google Ads if your ads are working. So that's a really great way of knowing if people are calling and actually making use of that call feature, other than just having your phone number there. So the next piece that I'm going to show in here is just how to add additional keywords to your campaigns and your ad groups. Underneath tools at the top, there's an area called Keyword Planner. There's a ton of tools here. Like I said, we could probably do 8 to 10 webinars on everything within Google Ads. Keyword Planner is going to be one of the most helpful ones that you're going to find. Keyword Planner allows you to do kind of two things. You can find new keywords, so it'll help you reach more people interested in your product or service by giving you additional keyword ideas. The other option is to get search volume and forecasts for keywords that you've already determined or different systems that you've already decided that you're going to move forward with. Let's take a look at finding new keywords first. So I'm going to say my history here is sweaters, blouses, shirts, and coats. So I'm going to select that. And I'm going to refresh this page. Sweaters, coats, jackets. I'm going to click Get Started. What this is going to do is it's going to start with the jacket, sweaters, coats, and it's going to show me those keywords, but it's also going to show me all sorts of other keywords. And you can see winter jackets, ladies' coats, long sweaters, winter jacket, lots of different ideas. It also gives us a bunch of information related to those particular ideas. So it tells me how much in terms of average monthly searches are there. So on average in October, there's this many kind of searches in different months. You can see obviously October, November, December, you're going to get higher searches for winter jackets like this because it's leading up to the time when people are going to be buying them. Whereas sometime in July, there's no searches for them in July. So that's going to lead to a different kind of curve. The competition obviously is high though. So you can see all the different competition curves here, and competition for anything in these kind of coat area right now is going to be very high because this is the prime time to be selling a coat. You can see a top of page bid. So what the low range is and what the high range is. You can see approximately what that's going to cost you. So anywhere from 61 cents to $1.99 to get to that top of the page bid for that particular area. This range, again, is going to be very much focused on your quality score. And I've seen lots of ads that cost more than the high range that they show. And I've seen some that are lower than the low range based on how good of a quality score that particular ad has. So making sure you have good quality content is really important to keeping you closer to this low range and making more clicks and making more connections and more conversions out of that content. In this particular area, I've listed this as Canada and the United States, but you can change this. So if you're trying to just sell coats to a different country, you can put that in here as well. So maybe we're going to decide we're going to go to Argentina here and sell coats there. It's going to give us a different set of different keyword ideas based on different average monthly searches. And you can see the competition in those different areas where those price points are. So you can see coats in Argentina are not being advertised as well. So that might be somewhere, if you could ship your coat there, why not be able to advertise there? So these are some of the areas where you might see those gains in your search results. Again, some of them are really small, right? 6 cents for a winter jacket for women in that particular area. Not a whole lot of searches. There's only 720, but the curve is good, and it's the opposite because it's cold. It's cold there in the summer and warm there in the winter. So you can definitely play around with different ideas here and add these all in. If at any time you said, I want to take all of these and I want to add them to a plan, you can also create a new ad group right away from these. So I'm going to say, I want to create a new ad group, and I'm going to call this Argentina. on create, and that's going to go and create that for me. I can also say how I want those to be connected. If I want them all to be broad match, if I want to change to phrase exact, and there's more options here as well in terms of adding negative keywords. So we're going to add that. We're going to add all those keywords to that plan, and that's now going to be set up for us. The other piece of Keyword Planner is being able to get search volume and forecast for the different keywords that we've decided on. So we could go and paste those in. So again, I'm just going to put coats, jackets, and sweaters. This is going to tell me approximately what they think is going to be forecast for how many clicks I can potentially get and what it's going to cost me to do that. So for coats, jackets, and sweaters, if I had an average CPC of $2.37, I would end up spending about $410 a month, and I would get 640 clicks to my site from that. Again, this is not looking at your ads. It's not looking at your quality scores. It's just a rough estimate. It's a good way of determining what you think you may get, but it's never going to be 100% accurate because your quality score is going to impact this significantly. I've seen lots of people that get a lot more clicks and a lot more impressions for a lot less cost because they have a good quality score. So this is really important here as well. You can further add more keywords here. You can look at negative keywords, and you can look at historical metrics as well as create a campaign based on what you've added in so that it's all set up and ready to go. So with that, I'm going to go back to back out to our campaign here and see if this ad group got created for us. It did not. It seems to have added those in for us. I'm not sure why it didn't add that in for us. It should have. I'll take a look at that after the webinar. So typically it would have added that in here. What you can do instead though is create those ad groups yourself. So you can always start a new ad group and go through that process. So again, in the ad group, you would name it, you would put in the keywords that you would want, and you could choose the different types of keywords. Again, there's different information over here related to what they think you're going to be able to connect to. This link right now, Berry Clothing, goes to a landing page where you can buy the URL berryclothing.com. So that's why all these keywords are related to that particular area. If I was to change this to Nike.com, it would refresh and it'll probably be related to shoes and athletic clothing. Nike shoes, outlet.com, sneakers, factory outlet, things like that. So it's automatically pulling some of those keyword ideas based on the link that you put in. So that's another really important reason why you should always have a really good landing page for your ads. It's going to boost your quality score, but it's also going to help Google understand what your page is all about and be able to pull out those keywords that are going to match nicely with that particular page. So as I mentioned, there's 3 resources that I want to share with you all as well. They are more advanced, definitely something that if you want to get into these areas more, that's where you definitely want to take a look at. So the first one is a course that is on Udemy. If you're not familiar with Udemy, it is a massive online course system, and it's almost always on sale. So never spend the full $200, $300 on a course on Udemy. There's always sales, and if they're not on sale, they will be in a couple days. This one here, I've taken this course myself. It's called the Ultimate Google AdWords Training Course. Really good course, has really good understanding. The gentleman that teaches it stands in front of a whiteboard the whole time and writes everything out in a really clear and concise manner. It's really good for anybody that's starting out or even advanced people to get that content. The one caveat here is that the videos show the old AdWords experience. What we were looking at today is the new AdWords experience or the new Google Ads experience, whereas Google AdWords had a previous view, which was a little archaic looking, but you will see it in this particular course. The nice thing about this course is right now, as of today, it is $18.99. So it is not crazy expensive. It's something that you can jump into, you can watch at your leisure. They have an iPad app that you can watch these courses at. I myself have taken multiple courses through Udemy and find it a really good resource for learning new content. So this is something I would highly recommend if you do want to get more kind of professional in the Google Ads space. Resource number 2 is a tool called SEMrush. SEMrush allows you to understand your traffic, where your paid ads are at, as well as your organic search results. It allows you to look at competitors and what they're doing, what's working for them, and where there may be gaps in the marketplace for you to actually put in ads that are going to convert and work. There's a ton of features within SEMrush. It is a really great tool. We use it for a number of clients. It's not cheap though. It's $100 a month for an individual client. And it becomes a really important tool for understanding your Google AdWords. If you are the type of business to be spending $1,000 or more a month in Google Ads, this is a tool that you're going to want to invest in because it's going to make that $1,000 go a lot further just by the recommendations that come out of this app. The third resource, which is definitely a little bit cheaper, but does a lot of the stuff that SEMrush does, is called SERP Checker. It's also part of a suite that you get from Mangools. I've put the link there, serpchecker.com. They have a few different apps that allow you to do that. SERP, or SERP, stands for Search Engine Result Page. So the Search Engine Result Page Checker goes in and allows you to actually see SERPs from anywhere around the world. So you can specifically say, I want this keyword for this area in the United States on a desktop versus on mobile, and you can analyze that search engine result page. That allows you to see whether A, you rank on that page organically, and B, where others are ranking on that page. You can also see what types of advertisements are showing up on that page and being able to pull those pieces together. You also get access to a bunch of other tools, the keyword finder, the search engine result page watcher to see where you are on that list. And all of that is $30 a month for the base package. So it's a really great tool that you can use as well. So with all that said, I'm going to open up the floor for questions and answers. If you'd like to just throw it in the Q&A area or into the chat, and I can help answer any questions you have. If there aren't any other questions, I'm going to start one last poll and get everybody to fill it out for me. So the question is, I set up an ad that only gets an 8 in terms of a quality score, and it doesn't rank. I don't see it on my search engine pages. What should I do as a good advertiser, keyword good advertiser, to help get this ad showing on search results? That's all that apply. So 3 people answered all of the above. Fortunately, as a good advertiser, what I would say is not increase your budget right away. Increasing your budget can definitely work, and it can definitely put you to the top of the list. But as a good advertiser, I would highly recommend reviewing your landing page and making it better first, and then adding in ad extensions such as phone, location, and call out. Adding more keywords may also work as well, but A and B are really the first 2 things that I would highly recommend doing. Increasing your budget should only be done when you've done all those other things and you know you have a really good quality score, but the competitor is still just, making it difficult for you to use that budget, or your budget is too low. So Sonia has a question. Can you make recommendations for using Google Ads to increase visits to brick and mortars? Absolutely. So definitely being able to run advertisements to a specific location. So if your location is downtown Kingston and you want people to come out to that particular location, making sure that you have ads that are targeted to that location, so you don't have to go, very far outside of that area, and then making sure you have things like the location call out attached to that is going to help get that in front of people in that area. So as they are on their phones, or if they're on a desktop or a laptop in a coffee shop that's close by, those ads will have a better ranking and may show up more prevalently than other ads that aren't in that particular area. To set up callouts that are location based, you have to have Google My Business set up, and your locations have to be built into that, and they have to then be connected to your Google Ads console. It's not too terribly difficult to do, but then once you've done that, you're able to add that location callout to any single ad that you want within your account. All right, so if there aren't any other questions, I'll end the webinar there. Thank you everybody for coming out and listening. Like I said, this has been recorded and the handout is also available on the right-hand side, so feel free to download the slides that are here, and then feel free to watch the recording at your leisure. Thank you very much and have a great rest of your day.